I'm Elias Navarro, a 17-year-old senior in Denver, and just days ago, my life flipped from calm to chaos. A private photo, one moment of trust between friends, was stolen and spread online. It outed me to Marcus, my best friend, and a half the city. The hate came fast and brutal, not just for me, but for our trans friend Jamie, suddenly thrust into a national firestorm about trans athletes. Now, standing before the school administration, it felt less like a meeting and more like a setup. The fight for LGBTQ+ rights was already hard enough, but I was about to learn how deeply it's woven into bigger, uglier fights. I stood frozen in the middle of a crowded Denver coffee shop, my heart pounding as a stranger's phone screen flashed a photo of me, kissing another man. The guy, some smug college kid with a smirk, shoved the phone in my face. Care to explain this, Elias? He sneered, loud enough for half the shop to turn and stare. My best friend, Marcus, sitting across from me, dropped his latte, the cup shattering on the floor. The air thickened with whispers, and I felt every eye boring into me. I hadn't come out yet. Not to Marcus, not to anyone. And now, this random jerk was outing me in public, holding my secret like a weapon. Back off! I snapped, my voice shaking. I grabbed my backpack and bolted for the door, shoving past a couple who gasped like I'd committed a crime. Outside, the crisp Colorado air hit me, but it didn't cool the panic burning in my chest. My phone buzzed. Marcus texting. What the heck was that? Call me. I ignored it, my mind racing. Who took that photo? How did it end up on some stranger's phone? I'd only kissed one guy in my life, and that was weeks ago behind closed doors. Or so I thought. Growing up, I'd always been the quiet kid, the one who blended into the background. My mom, a single parent and a nurse, raised me to stay out of trouble. She didn't know I was gay, and I wasn't ready to tell her. Not with her long shifts and her constant worry about bills. Denver's progressive vibe made it easier to explore my identity privately, but I wasn't prepared for it to be ripped open like this. The photo was from a moment I'd replayed 1,000 times. His name was Theo Carter, a new guy at school who joined the track team last month. He was magnetic. Dark curls, hazel eyes, and a laugh that made my stomach flip. We'd been friends at first, bonding over sprints and late-night study sessions. But one night, at his place, studying turned into something else. We were alone, sitting close on his couch, our knees brushing. The air felt electric, charged with unspoken tension. When he leaned in, his breath warm against my cheek, I didn't pull away. Our lips met, soft and tentative, then deeper, a rush of warmth spreading through me. His fingers grazed my jaw, and for those few moments, I felt free, like I could be myself without fear. We parted with shy smiles, promising to keep it between us. But someone had been watching. Now, as I jogged down Colfax Avenue, dodging pedestrians, I couldn't shake the image of that photo. It wasn't just about being outed. It was the violation, the idea that someone had stolen that private moment. My phone buzzed again, this time with a text from an unknown number. Tell the truth, or this goes viral. My stomach dropped. I ducked into an alley, leaning against a brick wall, trying to breathe. Was this about more than just me being gay? I thought about the debates raging at school. LGBTQ+ rights, especially transgender athletes, had been a hot topic. Our track team had a trans runner, Jamie, and some parents were pushing to ban them from competing. Theo and I had both spoken up for Jamie at a school board meeting, arguing for fairness. Had that made us targets? I met Theo at a park near his house an hour later, my nerves frayed. He was waiting on a bench, his usual confidence replaced by worry. Elias, what's going on? He asked, standing as I approached. I showed him the text and told him about the coffee shop. His face paled. That was our moment, he said, voice low. How did they get it? I don't know, I admitted. But it's not just about us. I think it's tied to the team, maybe Jamie's situation. Someone's trying to scare us. Theo nodded, his jaw tight. We sat, shoulders touching, and for a moment I wanted to kiss him again, to reclaim what had been stolen. But fear held me back. Instead, we talked, piecing together who might have been at his house that night. His older brother, a college dropout with a grudge against woke causes, had been home. Could he have spied on us? Our conversation shifted to the bigger picture. This isn't just about us being gay, Theo said. It's about control. People hate when we challenge their norms, like supporting Jamie or speaking out. I agreed. The school board debates had turned ugly, with parents shouting about protecting fairness while ignoring Jamie's talent. It mirrored national arguments over transgender rights, where fear often drowned out reason. I thought about my mom, who'd always taught me to stand up for what's right, even if it's hard. But this felt personal, like someone wanted to punish us for existing. As the sun dipped below the Rockies, Theo took my hand, his touch grounding me. We'll figure this out, he said. Together. I nodded, my heart racing, not just from fear, but from the spark between us. We stood, and he pulled me close, our foreheads touching. The world faded, and for a brief moment, it was just us, our breaths mingling, a quiet promise in the fading light. It wasn't about desire alone. It was trust, a shared defiance against whoever was trying to break us. We parted, agreeing to dig deeper. I headed home, my mind buzzing with questions. Who was behind the photo? Was it Theo's brother? Or was someone else tied to the school board drama? And what do they want? Well, I got home. My mom was still at work, so I checked my laptop, scrolling through social media for clues. That's when I saw it. A post on a local forum, anonymous but pointed, track teams got secrets. Time to clean house. Attached was a blurry version of the photo, already spreading. My chest tightened. This wasn't just a personal attack. It was a public shaming tied to the bigger fight over identity and rights. I texted Marcus, finally ready to talk. Meet me tomorrow. I typed. I owe you an explanation. I didn't know how he'd react, but I couldn't hide anymore. As I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, I thought about Theo, about Jamie, about the battles we were all fighting. Being gay in America wasn't just about love. It was about surviving in a world where some people saw your truth as a threat, and I wasn't going to let them win. I woke up to my phone buzzing like a hornet's nest, notifications piling up from texts, social media, and voicemails. My heart sank as I scrolled through them. More comments on that anonymous forum post. The blurry photo of Theo and me kissing now shared across X and local group chats. Disgusting, one user wrote. Keep that out of our schools, said another. I wanted to scream, to smash my phone against the wall, but I just sat there paralyzed on the edge of my bed in our small Denver apartment. My mom was already at the hospital for her morning shift, leaving me alone with the weight of it all. I'm Elias Navarro, and my life was unraveling faster than I could handle. Yesterday's coffee shop fiasco, where some jerk had outed me in front of Marcus and a crowd, felt like a lifetime ago. Now, the photo was public, and the threats were escalating. A new text from an unknown number read, "Drop the track team drama, or this gets worse." I shivered, not just from the cold seeping through my bedroom window, but from the realization that this wasn't random. Someone was targeting me and Theo, likely because of our support for Jamie, our transgender teammate, at the school board meeting. The fight over trans athletes had split our community, with some parents claiming it was unfair for Jamie to compete. Theo and I had argued for inclusion, but now it seemed our activism and our relationship had painted targets on our backs. I met Marcus at a quiet diner near Washington Park, my stomach churning as I walked in. He was already at a booth, his usual goofy grin replaced by a tense frown. Marcus had been my best friend since middle school, the guy who'd cheered me on at every track meet and shared my obsession with sci-fi movies. But I'd never told him I was gay, and now he'd found out in the worst way possible. "Elias, what the heck's going on?" he asked as I slid into the booth. His voice was low, but I could hear the hurt. "That photo, is it real?" I took a deep breath, my hands fidgeting with a napkin. "Yeah, it's real. I'm gay, Marcus. That was me and Theo. I didn't mean for you to find out like that." He leaned back, processing. "Why didn't you tell me? I'm your best friend, man." "I wanted to," I said, my voice cracking. "But I was scared. Denver's supposed to be open-minded, but you see how people are reacting. I didn't know how you'd take it." Marcus sighed, running a hand through his curly hair. "I'm not mad you're gay, Elias. I'm mad you didn't trust me. But that photo going viral? That's messed up. Who's doing this? I don't know, I admitted. Theo thinks it might be his brother, Nate. He's got a chip on his shoulder about progressive stuff, and he was home when it happened. But it could be someone else, someone pissed about Jamie. Marcus nodded, his expression softening. I saw the forum posts. People are saying awful things, not just about you, but Jamie too. It's like they think free speech means they can spew hate without consequences. He was right. The online comments weren't just personal attacks. They were part of a bigger debate raging across America. Free speech versus hate speech. Some claimed they had the right to say whatever they wanted, no matter how hurtful, while others argued that words could harm as much as actions. At school, the tension was palpable. A student group had put up posters supporting Jamie, only for them to be defaced with slurs. When the principal removed the defaced posters, some parents cried censorship, saying it stifled free expression. It was a mess, and Theo and I were caught in the crossfire. I'm meeting Theo later, I told Marcus. We're going to figure out who's behind this. You in? Marcus hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, I'm in. But you got to be straight with me from now on, okay? Deal, I said, relief washing over me. Losing Marcus would have broken me, but having him on my side gave me hope. That afternoon, I met Theo at his house in Capitol Hill, a vibrant neighborhood known for its LGBTQ+ community. His place was a cozy Victorian, but the mood inside was anything but warm. Theo's brother, Nate, was sprawled on the couch, scrolling on his phone. He barely glanced at me, but I felt his hostility like a cold wind. Theo led me to his room upstairs, closing the door behind us. Nate's been acting weird, Theo whispered, sitting on his bed. I checked his laptop last night, found a folder with photos, including ours. He's got to be the one. My pulse quickened. Did you confront him? Not yet, Theo said, his hazel eyes intense. If he's leaking this to hurt us, we need proof. I'm thinking we set a trap, post something fake online, see if he takes the bait. It was risky, but I agreed. We crafted a vague X post from a dummy account, hinting at a secret track team meeting to support Jamie. If Nate was monitoring us, he'd likely share it. As we worked, our hands brushed, and I felt that familiar spark. Theo noticed, his lips curving into a small smile. You okay? He asked, his voice soft. I nodded, my heart racing. We were alone again, the memory of our first kiss lingering. He leaned closer, his curls falling over his forehead. Our lips met, a gentle connection that felt like defiance against the chaos outside. His hand rested on my neck, warm and steady, pulling me into a moment where the world's judgment didn't exist. We parted, breathless, our foreheads touching. We're stronger than they think, he murmured. I know, I whispered back, my fingers lingering on his arm. It wasn't just about attraction. It was about standing together, refusing to be silenced. Our plan moved fast. By evening, the fake post had spread, and sure enough, Nate commented on the forum, mocking this secret meeting. Theo showed me the screenshot, his face grim. It's him. But why? We confronted Nate downstairs. He smirked, not even denying it. You two think you're heroes, huh? Pushing all this woke nonsense about Jamie. Someone's got to push back. This isn't about Jamie, Theo snapped. It's about you invading our privacy. Nate shrugged. Free speech, bro. I can share what I want. You put yourself out there, you deal with the consequences. I clench my fists, anger boiling. You're not just sharing, you're bullying. There's a difference. Nate rolled his eyes, but I saw a flicker of unease. We left, knowing we had to take this to the school. But as we stepped outside, Theo got a call from Jamie, their voice shaky. Elias, Theo, check the forum. It's bad. We pulled up the site on Theo's phone. A new post, this time with a video, grainy footage of Jamie at practice, with a caption, "This is who's stealing girl spots." The comments were vicious, accusing Jamie of cheating, and worse. Gender equality in sports, another hot-button issue, was at the heart of it. Some argued trans athletes deserved equal opportunities. Others claimed it disrupted fairness for cisgender women. Jamie had worked harder than anyone on our team, but to these trolls, they were just a symbol to attack. This is bigger than Nate, I said, my voice tight. He's working with someone who wants to shut us all down. Theo nodded, his jaw set. We need to protect Jamie and ourselves. Tomorrow, we talk to the principal. As I walked home under Denver's starry sky, I thought about the battles we were fighting, not just for love, but for the right to exist without fear. Free speech was a right, but using it to harm others crossed a line. And gender equality wasn't about picking winners. It was about giving everyone a chance to run. I texted my mom, "Can we talk soon?" I wasn't ready to tell her everything, but I needed her strength. For the first time, I felt like I wasn't just surviving. I was fighting back. I stood outside the principal's office at Lincoln High, my palms sweaty and my heart hammering like I'd just run the 400-meter. Theo was beside me, his usual confidence shaken, but still there in the way he squared his shoulders. We'd come to report Nate, Theo's brother, for leaking the photo of us kissing and stirring up hate against Jamie, our transgender teammate. But as we waited, a new text from an unknown number lit up my phone. "You think the principal's on your side? Think again." My stomach twisted. This wasn't just Nate anymore. Someone else was pulling strings, and they were watching us. I'm Elias Navarro, a 17-year-old senior in Denver, and my life had gone from quiet to chaos in days. That photo, stolen from a private moment with Theo, had gone viral, outing me to my best friend Marcus and half the city. The online hate targeted not just us, but Jamie, caught in a firestorm over trans athletes. Now, as we faced the school's administration, I felt like we were walking into a trap. The fight for LGBTQ+ rights was real, but today I was about to learn how it tangled with other battles: racism, privilege, and a messy debate over affirmative action. Principal Harris, a middle-aged white woman with a no-nonsense vibe, ushered us into her office. "Elias, Theo, what's this about?" she asked, her tone clipped but not unkind. We laid it out. The photo, Nate's role, the forum posts, and the video targeting Jamie. I showed her screenshots, my hands shaking. Theo added, "This isn't just bullying, it's harassment, tied to the school board's trans athlete debate. Someone's trying to silence us." Harris leaned back, her face unreadable. "These are serious accusations. Nate's not a student here, so my authority's limited. But I'll investigate the forum posts and the video. Have you considered the consequences of escalating this? It could make things worse. Worse than being outed in public." I snapped and caught myself. "Sorry, but we're already getting threats. Jamie's scared to come to practice. This isn't just about us, it's about the team." She nodded, scribbling notes. "I understand, but you two spoke at the board meeting, supporting Jamie. That made you visible. Some parents see you as agitators. I'm not saying it's right, but you've stirred a hornet's nest." Theo's jaw tightened. "So we're supposed to stay quiet? Let Jamie get kicked off the team because some parents can't handle progress?" Harris sighed. "I'm on your side, but my hands are tied. The school board's under pressure, and not everyone's as open-minded. I'll do what I can. For now, keep a low profile." As we left, I felt a mix of anger and dread. Low profile. I muttered to Theo, "That's code for shut up and take it." He nodded, his hazel eyes dark with frustration. We headed to the track, where Marcus and Jamie were waiting. Jamie looked drained, their usual energy gone. "I saw the video," they said quietly. "My parents want me quit. They're worried I'll get hurt." Marcus clapped a hand on Jamie's shoulder. "You're not quitting. We got your back." But I could see the doubt in Jamie's eyes, and it hit me hard. This wasn't just about trans rights. It was about who got to feel safe in their own skin. At practice, Coach Daniels pulled me aside. He was black, in his 40s, and one of the few teachers I trusted. "Elias, I heard about the photo. You okay?" His concern was genuine, but there was something else in his tone, caution. "I'm trying," I said. "But it's not just me. Jamie's getting it worse." He nodded, glancing at the team. "I've seen this before. When I was your age, I dealt with racism on my team, slurs, jokes, even parents saying I only made varsity because of affirmative action. They couldn't believe a black kid could just be good. Now it's Jamie, you Theo, different fights, same ignorance." His words hit like a punch. I'd faced my share of microaggressions. People assuming I was lazy because I'm Latino or surprised I was aiming for college. But Coach's story opened my eyes to how deep racism ran, how it shaped who got a fair shot. Affirmative action was supposed to level the playing field, but critics called it reverse racism, claiming it gave undeserving people like me or Coach an edge. Meanwhile, white privilege let kids like Nate skate by, their mistakes excused, while we fought for scraps. "Coach, do you think the principal will help?" I asked. He hesitated. "Harris means well, but she's playing politics. The board's mostly white, wealthy parents. They don't see the world like we do. Keep pushing, but watch your back." That evening, I met Theo at a small LGBTQ plus community center in Capitol Hill, a safe haven with rainbow flags and warm lighting. We joined a youth group discussion, led by a non-binary facilitator named Alex. The topic was racism and privilege within the queer community, how white LGBTQ plus folks often dominated spaces, leaving people of color like me feeling sidelined. I share my story, my voice shaky. "I'm scared," I admitted, "not just about being gay, but about how my race makes me a bigger target. The forum posts aren't just about me and Theo. They're calling me a diversity hire for the track team." Theo squeezed my hand under the table, his touch a quiet anchor. A black trans woman, Maya, spoke up. "I get it, Elias. When I came out, people didn't just hate me for being trans. They used my race to justify it, saying I was confused because of cultural issues. White privilege means they get to define our stories." Her words stuck with me. Theo, who's white, listened quietly, then spoke. "I didn't realize how much harder this is for Elias and Jamie. I want to help, but I don't want to take up space." It was honest, and I appreciated it. Our fight wasn't just about being gay or supporting Jamie. It was about dismantling systems that favored some over others. After the meeting, Theo and I walked to a nearby park, the Denver skyline glowing in the distance. The air was cool, and we sat on a bench, our shoulders brushing. "You were brave tonight," he said, his curls catching the streetlight. "Talking like that, it means something." I smiled, my heart fluttering. "You make it easier." We leaned closer, our lips meeting in a soft, lingering kiss. His hand found mine, fingers intertwining, and for a moment, the world's chaos faded. It wasn't about passion alone. It was about trust, about building something real in a world trying to tear us apart. We pulled back, smiling, but the weight of our fight lingered. My phone buzzed, shattering the moment. Another text from the unknown number. "Check the forum. You're done." I opened the site, my hands trembling. A new post, this time with a doctored photo. Me and Theo at the school board meeting, edited to look like we were mocking the parents. The caption read, "Affirmative action babies think they run the school." The comments were a cesspool, accusing us of ruining the team with diversity quotas. My blood boiled. This wasn't just about Nate. It was a coordinated attack, weaponizing racism and lies to discredit us. "Theo, this is bad," I said, showing him the post. "They're trying to turn the whole school against us." He nodded, his face grim. "We need to find out who's behind this. Nate's not smart enough to pull this off alone." We called Marcus and Jamie, meeting them at a 24-hour diner. Jamie looked shaken, clutching a coffee. "My parents got an email," they said. "It linked to the forum, saying I'm a danger to the team. They're talking about transferring me." Marcus slammed his fist on the table. "This is bull. Sorry crap. We're not letting them win." I agreed, but the anonymous text echoed in my mind. Was the principal involved? Or someone on the board? As we planned our next move, gathering evidence, rallying allies, I felt a fire growing inside me. Racism, privilege, and hate were trying to break us, but I wasn't backing down. Not for me, not for Theo, not for Jamie. I was elbow deep in a group chat with Theo, Marcus, and Jamie, planning how to expose the mastermind behind the forum attacks, when my mom burst through the apartment door, her nurse's scrubs wrinkled and her face pale. "Elias, we need to talk. Now." Her voice was sharp, not the usual tired but warm tone I knew. My phone slipped from my hand, landing on the couch with a soft thud. I'm Elias Navarro, a 17-year-old senior in Denver, and my life was already a dumpster fire, outed by a viral photo of me kissing Theo, targeted for supporting our trans teammate Jamie, and now facing racist lies about affirmative action on the track team. Whatever Mom wanted, it wasn't going to be good. She sat me down at our tiny kitchen table, her hands trembling as she clutched a crumpled flyer. "I found this in the hospital break room," she said, sliding it toward me. The flyer was from a local pro-life group, featuring a grainy photo of me at the school board meeting, captioned, "Teen activist supports abortion and trans agenda." My jaw dropped. I'd never spoken publicly about abortion. Heck, I barely talked about it privately. But the flyer linked me to a protest I'd attended with Theo, where we'd supported Jamie's right to compete. Someone had twisted it, painting me as a poster child for every liberal cause they hated. "Mom, this is a lie," I said, my voice shaking. "I was there for Jamie, not that." Her eyes searched mine, weary but fierce. "Elias, I don't care what you believe about abortion, but you're my son, and this," she jabbed the flyer, "puts you in danger. People are vicious about this stuff. Pro-life, pro-choice, it's a war zone out there." She wasn't wrong. Abortion was a lightning rod in America, especially in Colorado, where protests outside clinics were a regular sight. Pro-life advocates argued for the sanctity of life, picketing with signs of fetuses. Pro-choice groups countered with rallies for bodily autonomy, chanting "my body, my choice." I'd seen the debates on X, where both sides demonized each other, leaving no room for nuance. Now, my face was being weaponized in that fight, tied to a cause I hadn't even touched. "Is there more you're not telling me?" Mom asked, her voice softening. "This flyer mentions you and a boy." "How? Are you?" I froze, my throat tight. I hadn't come out to her yet, not after the coffee shop fiasco and the forum posts. But the flyer had done it for me. "Yeah," I whispered, staring at the table. "I'm gay. Theo's someone special." She reached for my hand, her grip warm. "Okay, Mijo. I love you no matter what. But you need to be careful. This city's not as safe as it seems." Her words hung heavy as I headed to school the next day, the flyer tucked in my backpack like a ticking bomb. Theo met me in my locker, his dark curls messy from running to catch up. "You look like you saw a ghost," he said, concern in his hazel eyes. I showed him the flyer. His face hardened. "This is next level. First a photo, then Jamie's video, now this? Someone's trying to bury us." We found Marcus and Jamie in the cafeteria, where the air buzzed with gossip. Jamie was quieter than usual, their eyes red. "My parents got one of those flyers," they said. "It called me a gender experiment and said the school's pushing a trans agenda in classes. They're freaking out." Marcus slammed his tray down. "This is crap. They're not just after you too. They're coming for Jamie, the team, everything." "What's next? Banning books about gay people?" He wasn't far off. Gender identity in education was another battleground. Colorado's schools had policies to support trans students, like using preferred names and pronouns, but some parents called it indoctrination, demanding parental rights to opt out. At Lincoln High, a new proposal was circulating to restrict gender-affirming policies, citing fairness in sports and bathrooms. Jamie's presence on the track team was being used as a flashpoint, and now Theo and I were collateral damage. "We need to fight back," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "Let's talk to the student council. They can help us organize a response, maybe a rally for inclusion." Theo nodded, but Jamie hesitated. "I don't know, Elias. Every time we push, it gets worse. I just want to run, not be a symbol." I understood, but staying silent wasn't an option. We agreed to meet with the student council president, Aisha, a black senior who'd been vocal about racism and equity. At lunch, she listened as we explained the flyer, the forum, and Nate's role. "This isn't just about you," Aisha said, her braids swaying as she leaned forward. "It's systemic. They're using abortion, trans rights, even race to divide us. I've dealt with it too. People saying I only got into AP classes because of diversity quotas." Her words echoed Coach Daniel's story about racism and affirmative action. It hit me how connected our fights were. My Latino heritage, Jamie's trans identity, Aisha's blackness, all targeted by the same fear of change. "What can we do?" I asked. "Expose the truth," Aisha said. "We'll hold a forum, not a rally. Let students speak, share their stories. It's harder to hate when you hear someone's humanity. That evening, Theo and I worked on the forum plan at his house, sprawled on his bedroom floor with laptops and snacks. The tension of the day melted as we laughed over a meme Marcus sent, our hands brushing as we reached for the same chip. The air shifted, charged with that familiar spark. Theo's eyes locked on mine, and he leaned in, his lips meeting mine in a slow, tender kiss. His fingers traced my cheek, grounding me in a world that felt safe just for a moment. We pulled back, smiling, our hands still entwined. "We're gonna get through this," he whispered. "I know," I said, my heart full. It wasn't just about love. It was about resilience, about holding on to each other when everything else was falling apart. But the next morning, the school was buzzing with a new scandal. Overnight, someone had plaster flyers on every locker, not the pro-life ones, but a vicious parody, mocking the inclusion agenda with caricatures of me, Theo, Jamie, and Aisha. Mine had a caption, "Latino lover boy pushes abortion." Aisha's read, "Quota queen runs the show." The hall was chaos. Students whispering, some laughing, others tearing the flyers down. I felt like I'd been punched, the sting of racism and homophobia raw and personal. Theo found me by the gym, his face pale. "Elias, there's more." "Check X." I opened the app, my hands shaking. A new anonymous account had posted the caricatures, with a manifesto railing against woke education, trans rights, affirmative action, even sex ed that mentioned abortion. The comments were a war zone, some defending us, others piling on with slurs. One caught my eye. "Navarro's mom kills babies at the hospital. Like mother, like son." My blood ran cold. Mom was a nurse, not an abortion provider, but the lie was deliberate, tying her to the pro-life flyers narrative. I called her, my voice frantic. "Mom, don't go to work. There's a post online. It's about you." "Elias, calm down," she said, but I heard the fear in her voice. I saw it. The hospital's getting calls, accusing me of things. I'm taking a few days off. I hung up, fury replacing panic. This wasn't just about me or Theo anymore. It was about my family, my community. I found Aisha in the library, where she was organizing the forum with Marcus and Jamie. "We're moving forward," she said, her voice steel. "They want us scared? We'll show them we're not." As we planned, Theo slipped his hand into mine, a quiet promise. The forum was our chance to fight back, but the flyers and posts were a warning. The mastermind was still out there, and they weren't done. Was it a parent? A school board member? Someone with a grudge deeper than Nate's? I didn't know, but I was ready to find out, even if it meant facing the ugliest parts of Denver's heart. I was in the school auditorium, heart pounding, as Aisha tested the microphone for the student forum we'd organized to fight back against the hate campaign targeting me, Theo, Jamie, and her. The room was half full, a mix of curious students, supportive teachers, and a few parents whose glares made my skin crawl. Just hours ago, I'd found a note slipped into my locker. "Speak, and you'll regret it." I'm Elias Navarro, a 17-year-old senior in Denver, and my life had become a battlefield. Outed by a stolen photo of me kissing Theo, smeared with racist lies about affirmative action, and now falsely tied to abortion debates. The caricatures plastered around school had escalated the war, and tonight's forum was our chance to take a stand. But as I scanned the crowd, I couldn't shake the feeling that our enemy was here, watching. Theo sat beside me on the stage, his hand brushing mine under the table, a quiet anchor in the chaos. "You ready?" He whispered, his hazel eyes steady despite the tension. "Ready as I'll ever be," I muttered, forcing a smile. Jamie, our trans teammate, sat next to Aisha, looking nervous but determined. Marcus was in the front row, giving us a thumbs up. We planned this forum to let students share their stories about identity, discrimination, anything to show the human cost of the hate spreading online and in flyers. But the stakes were higher than ever. The latest X post had called the forum a woke circus, accusing us of silencing free speech with our push for inclusion. It was the same old debate. Where did free speech end and hate speech begin? Aisha kicked things off, her voice clear and commanding. We're here to talk about what's happening at Lincoln High: bullying, lies, and division. This isn't about politics. It's about us, our school, our lives. She gestured to the crowd. Anyone can speak. All we ask is respect. The first few speakers were allies, classmates who'd faced homophobia or racism, sharing how it felt to be reduced to a stereotype. Then a junior named Tyler, known for his conservative views, took the mic. "I believe in free speech," he said, his voice sharp. "You can't censor people just because you don't like their opinions. Those flyers, the forum posts, they're messy, sure, but they're protected speech. You don't get to shut them down because you're offended." The crowd murmured, some nodding, others shifting uncomfortably. I clenched my fists, wanting to jump up, but Theo's hand on my knee kept me grounded. Aisha responded calmly. "Free speech isn't a blank check, Tyler. When words incite harm, like targeting Elias, Theo, or Jamie with lies, that's where the line is. We're not silencing anyone. We're asking for accountability." Tyler smirked, sitting down, but his words lingered. The free speech versus hate speech debate was tearing America apart, from college campuses to courtrooms. In Denver, it played out in school board meetings and online, where free expression often cloaked bigotry. I knew Tyler wasn't behind the attacks. His style was loud, not sneaky, but his stance gave cover to whoever was. Then Jamie spoke, their voice trembling at first. "I just want to run. But every day, I'm called a cheater, a freak, because I'm trans." Those flyers said, "I'm a gender experiment ruining girl sports. I'm not here to ruin anything. I'm here to be me." The room went quiet, and I saw tears in Marcus's eyes. Jamie's words cut through the noise, reminding us why we were fighting. Gender equality wasn't just about sports. It was about who got to define fairness. Nationally, laws were being proposed to ban trans women from women's spaces, framed as protecting cisgender women. But those laws ignored people like Jamie, who faced harassment no matter where they competed. At Lincoln High, the push to restrict trans policies in education had fueled the attacks on us, tying our fight to a broader struggle for equity. I thought about my mom, a nurse who'd faced sexism in her career, always telling me, equal doesn't mean same. It means everyone gets a shot. When it was my turn, I stood, my voice shaky but firm. "I'm gay. I'm Latino. I'm not ashamed of either, but someone's trying to make me feel like I should be." They stole a private moment between me and Theo, spread lies about my mom, and used my race to call me a diversity hire. This isn't free speech, it's hate, dressed up as opinion. I paused, scanning the crowd. Whoever's doing this, I'm not scared. We're not backing down. The applause was loud, but not universal. A few parents in the back crossed their arms, whispering. Then a woman stood, Mrs. Larson, a school board member known for her traditional values. "I sympathize," she said, her tone icy, "but this forum feels one-sided. Parents have a right to question policies, trans athletes, sex education, diversity programs. You're young. You don't see the bigger picture." Aisha didn't flinch. "The bigger picture is students feeling unsafe, Mrs. Larson. That's what we're addressing." The tension was palpable, but the forum ended without incident. Afterward, Theo and I slipped out to the school courtyard needing air. The Denver night was crisp, stars piercing the sky. We sat on a bench, our shoulders touching, and I felt the weight of the day lift slightly. "You were amazing up there," Theo said, his voice soft. He leaned in, his lips brushing mine in a gentle, defiant kiss. His hand rested on my cheek, warm and steady, and for a moment, it was just us, two kids refusing to let hate win. We pulled back, smiling, our fingers laced together. "We're getting closer," I said. Larson's reaction. She knows more than she's letting on. "How not that?" She's been pushing the anti-trans policy. Maybe she's tied to the flyers, the posts. Before we could dig deeper, Marcus texted, "Emergency. Meet at diner. Now." We rushed to the 24-hour diner near Colfax, where Marcus and Jamie were waiting, their faces grim. Jamie slid a phone across the table, showing a new forum post. It wasn't just another caricature. This was a leaked email from Principal Harris to Mrs. Larson, dated a week ago. The Navarro situation is escalating, it read. We need to contain it before the board vote on trans policies. Suggest redirecting focus to abortion debate. Local groups will amplify. I felt like I'd been slapped. Harris knew. I whispered. She's been playing us. Marcus shook his head. It's worse. Look at the reply. Larson's email was blunt. Use the brother's access. Keep anonymous. The Latino kid's a perfect distraction. Tie him to the clinic protests. Theo's face went pale. Nate, Larson's been using him to spread this crap. The pieces clicked. Nate, Theo's brother, had the photo and the motive, his anti-dash woke grudge. But Larson was the puppet master, orchestrating the attacks to derail the trans policy debate and discredit us. By tying me to abortion and racism, she'd weaponized every hot-button issue to keep the board in line. It was ruthless, and it was working. We need proof, I said, my voice hard. If we can trace Larson's emails, we can expose her. Jamie looked doubtful. How? We're kids, not hackers. Marcus grinned, a rare spark in the gloom. I know a guy. Teachner, ous me a favor. He can dig into the forum's servers, maybe find IP addresses. As we planned, I thought about the bigger fight. Free speech was sacred, but Larson's lies weren't speech. They were manipulation, inciting harm under the guise of debate. And gender equality wasn't just about Jamie's right to run. It was about a world where people like Larson couldn't dictate who belonged. I texted my mom, I'm okay, but things are rough. Talk soon. She replied instantly. Always here, me, Joe. Stay strong. Back home. I lay awake, Theo's kiss still warm on my lips. The forum had given us a voice, but Larson's shadow loomed large. Tomorrow, we'd hunt for proof, but tonight, I held onto the fire in my chest, the refusal to let hate define me, Theo or Jamie. We were more than their lies, and we'd prove it. I was crouched in the back of a dimly lit comic book shop in 5 Points, Denver's historic black neighborhood, huddling with Theo, Marcus, and Jamie as Marcus's tech-savvy friend, Leo, hunched over a laptop. My heart raced like I was mid-sprint, knowing we were one step away from exposing Mrs. Larson, the school board member orchestrating the hate campaign against us. The leaked email from Principal Harris had confirmed Larson was using Theo's brother, Nate, to spread lies, outing me and Theo with a stolen kiss photo, targeting Jamie's trans identity, and smearing me with racist and abortion-related falsehoods. But we needed hard proof to bring her down, and Leo was our shot. I'm Elias Navarro, a 17-year-old senior, and my life had become a high-stakes game where losing meant letting hate win. Leo's fingers flew across the keyboard, his glasses reflecting lines of code. The forum server is sloppy, he muttered. I traced the IP addresses for the anonymous posts. Most point to a public library, but one, the email leak, came from a private network. I'm betting it's Larson's home. Theo leaned over, his shoulder brushing mine, sending a familiar spark through me. Can you link it to her directly? He asked, his voice low but urgent. Leo grinned. Give me an hour. If she's sloppy with her Wi-Fi, I'll have her email logs. As we waited, the shop's neon glow cast shadows on the walls, and I thought about the bigger fight. LGBTQ plus rights weren't just about me and Theo's relationship or Jamie's right to run. They were about existing in a world that often demanded we justify our place. In Colorado, same-sex marriage was legal, but nationally, battles raged over adoption rights, workplace protections, and even public accommodations. Denver's pride parades were vibrant, but just last week, a local bakery had refused to make a cake for a gay couple's wedding, citing religious freedom. The case was all over X, splitting opinions. Some called it discrimination, others defended the baker's rights. Our fight at school felt like a microcosm of that, personal but tied to a broader struggle. Marcus broke the silence, pacing. This isn't just about Larson. Even if we nail her, the system's stacked. Look at this neighborhood. 5 Points used to be thriving, but gentrification's pushing people out. Tax dollars don't fix the schools or the community centers here. They go to fancy downtown projects. If we had better resources, maybe kids like us wouldn't be fighting so hard to be heard. He was right. Taxation and income distribution were hot topics in Denver, where skyrocketing property taxes fueled debates about who benefited. Wealthy areas got shiny new libraries, while schools like ours, with diverse, working-class students, scraped by. The local LGBTQ+ community center, where Theo and I had found support, was underfunded, relying on donations to keep its doors open. If tax policies prioritized equity, maybe we'd have safe spaces to navigate fights like this, instead of sneaking around in comic shops. Jamie nodded, their voice quiet. My parents can barely afford rent. If I get kicked off the team, there's no money for private coaching or other schools. This fight's all I've got. I squeezed Jamie's shoulder, feeling the weight of their words. My mom, a nurse, was stretched thin too, her hospital understaffed because public funding favored private clinics. Our struggles, race, gender, sexuality, were tangled with economic inequality, and people like Larson exploited that to keep power. Leo's laptop pinged, snapping us back. Got it, he said, turning the screen. The email leak came from Larson's home IP. And, get this, she's been emailing a guy named Richard Holt, a big donor to the school board. He's bankrolling her campaign to tank the trans policy and push parental rights. There's a draft press release here blaming radical students. That's you, for disrupting the school. Theo's face darkened. Holt? He's that real estate guy, right? Owns half of downtown. Yeah, Leo said. And his money talks. He's been funding anti-LGBTQ+ groups, too, under the table. My stomach churned. Holt's wealth gave him influence, amplifying Larson's hate. It was power-bought and paid for, drowning out voices like ours. We need to leak this, I said. Show everyone what they're doing. Marcus hesitated. If we go public, it's war. Holt's got lawyers. They'll come for us. Then we fight smart, Theo said, his hand finding mine under the table, his touch steadying me. We send this to a journalist, someone who'll dig deeper. Let them expose Larson and Holt. We agreed, and Leo zipped the files to a contact at a local independent paper known for investigative work. As we left the shop, the Denver skyline glittered, but I felt exposed, like eyes were on us. Theo and I lagged behind, our steps slow. This is bigger than we thought, I said, my voice low. He stopped, turned to face me, his curls catching the streetlight. We're bigger than they think, Elias. He pulled me close, his lips meeting mine in a soft, urgent kiss. His hands rested on my waist, warm through my jacket, and for a moment, the world's chaos fell away. It was more than attraction. It was a promise, a shared strength to face whatever came next. We parted, breathless, our foreheads touching. We've got this, he whispered. I know, I said, my heart full, though fear lingered. The next day at school, the air was electric. Word of the forum had spread, and students were buzzing. Some inspired, others hostile. In history class, our teacher, Ms. Rivera, pivoted to a discussion on civil rights, tying it to today's fights. LGBTQ+ rights, like racial justice, are about equality, she said. But power resists change. Look at the Stonewall riots. People fought back because they had to. A kid in the back, one of Tyler's friends, scoffed. That's ancient history. Why we need pride clubs and trans policies? It's special treatment. Ms. Rivera didn't blink. It's not special. It's survival. When people are targeted like Elias and Jamie have been, they need support, not silence. Her words hit home, but the kid's attitude showed how far we had to go. After class, I found a new flyer in my backpack. Not hateful, but a handwritten note. Keep fighting. You're not alone. It was unsigned, but it gave me hope. Maybe we were reaching people. That afternoon, Theo and I met Aisha at the community center to plan our next move. She'd heard about Holt and was furious. His money's why the center's struggling, she said. Tax breaks for guys like him mean less for places like this. If we expose him, we're not just saving Jamie, we're fighting for everyone here. As we brainstormed, a breaking news alert pinged my phone. The local paper had published Leo's files. naming Larson and Holt in a scathing expose. It detailed their scheme, using Nate to leak the photo, forging emails, and funding hate to sway the school board. X exploded with hashtag Lincoln High trending. Some praised us, others called it a witch hunt. Larson issued a statement, denying involvement, but the evidence was damning. I should have felt triumphant, but a new text from the unknown number chilled me. You think you've won? Watch your back. My hand shook as I showed Theo. They're not done, I said. He nodded, his jaw tight. Then neither are we. Let's rally the team. Show Holt and Larson we're united. We called an emergency track team meeting, inviting Coach Daniels. In the gym, I stood with Theo, Jamie, and Marcus facing our teammates. This isn't just about us, I said. It's about who gets to feel safe here. Jamie deserves to run. Theo and I deserve to love without fear. We need you with us. Most nodded, but a few hesitated, whispering about controversy. Coach stepped in. This team's family. You don't turn on family. His words sealed it. By the end, we had a plan, a public show of support at the next board meeting, wearing armbands for inclusion. As we left, Theo pulled me aside, his eyes soft. You're incredible, Elias. His hand grazed my cheek, and I felt the fire that kept me going. We were up against wealth, power, and hate, but together, we were unstoppable. The fight for LGBTQ plus rights, for equity, for our place in Denver, it was ours to win. The school board meeting room at Lincoln High was packed, the air thick with tension as I stood with Theo, Jamie, Marcus, and our track team, all wearing rainbow armbands to support inclusion. My heart pounded like I was at the starting line of a race, but this wasn't about speed, it was about survival. I'm Elias Navarro, a 17-year-old senior in Denver, and my life had been turned upside down by a stolen photo of me kissing Theo, racist lies tying me to affirmative action, and flyers falsely linking me to abortion debates. We'd exposed Mrs. Larson, a school board member, and her donor ally, Richard Holt, for orchestrating the hate campaign against us and our trans teammate, Jamie. Tonight, we'd face them head-on, but a final anonymous text haunted me. You'll pay for this. The fight for our place in this school, this city, this country was far from over. The expose in a local paper had shaken Denver. Larson's denials crumbled as emails surfaced, showing she'd used Theo's brother, Nate, to leak our photo and spread lies to derail the school's trans-inclusive policies. Holt's funding of anti-LGBTQ plus groups was now public, his real estate empire under scrutiny. X was ablaze with hashtag Lincoln High, some calling us heroes, others branding us troublemakers. The board meeting was our chance to demand accountability, not just for us, but for every kid who'd been targeted for who they were. Aisha, the student council president, spoke first, her voice cutting through the murmurs. This board failed us. Mrs. Larson used her power to spread hate, targeting Elias, Theo, and Jamie for their identities. We're here to demand her resignation and policies that protect all students, gay, trans, black, Latino, everyone. The crowd erupted, some cheering, others booing. I scanned the room, spotting Larson in the front row, her face a mask of calm fury. Holt wasn't there, but his absence felt ominous. Theo squeezed my hand, his warmth steadying me. We've got this, he whispered, his hazel eyes fierce. Jamie went next, their voice steady despite the glares. I'm trans, and I'm a runner. That's it. But you've let lies about fairness in sports tear me apart. I'm not a threat. I'm a teammate. The team cheered, our armbands a defiant splash of color. When it was my turn, I stepped to the mic, my knees shaky but my resolve iron. I'm gay. I'm Latino. I've been outed, lied about, and threatened because I stood up for what's right. This isn't just about me or Jamie. It's about a system that lets people like Larson and Holt use money and power to silence us. LGBTQ plus rights, gender equality, racial justice, they're not agendas. They're our lives. I paused, locking eyes with Larson. We're not going anywhere. The applause was deafening, but Larson stood, her voice cold. These students are manipulating you with sob stories. I've only advocated for parental rights and fairness. The real issue is their disruption, stirring up abortion debates, demanding special treatment. The room exploded again, arguments flaring. I thought about the issues we'd faced. Free speech twisted to justify hate, gender equality debates, weaponizing Jamie's identity, racism painting me as a diversity hire, abortion lies targeting my mom, and tax policies favoring Holt's wealth over our community's needs. They were all connected, rooted in fear of change. But fear wasn't winning tonight. Then a twist hit like a lightning bolt. Principal Harris, who'd been silent, stood. "I owe you an apology," she said, her voice trembling. I knew about Larson's plans and didn't act. I was scared of losing my job, of the board's power. But I'm done being complicit. Larson pressured me to redirect attention to Elias, to keep the trans policy stalled. I have emails proving it. She held up a USB drive. "It's all here." The room went silent, then erupted. Larson's face drained of color as parents shouted, some demanding her arrest. Aisha grabbed the mic. "This is what we're fighting for, truth." "Mrs. Larson, step down." Larson stormed out, cameras flashing as reporters swarmed. The board chair, flustered, promised an investigation and a vote on Larson's removal. We'd won a battle, but as we left the meeting, a new text from the unknown number chilled me. "Holt's not done. Neither am I." My stomach dropped. Holt was the real power, and he was still out there. Outside, under Denver's starry sky, Theo and I found a quiet corner by the school's track. The team had dispersed, celebrating, but I needed this moment. We sat on the bleachers, our shoulders touching, the cool air calming my nerves. "We did it," Theo said, his curls catching the moonlight. He leaned in, his lips meeting mine in a soft, lingering kiss. His hand rested on my neck, warm and sure, and for a moment the world's weight lifted. It was love, yes, but also defiance, a refusal to let hate steal our joy. We pulled back, smiling, our hands entwined. "I couldn't have done this without you," I said, my voice thick. "You're stronger than you know, Elias," he replied, his eyes soft. As we sat, I reflected on my journey. I'd started as a scared kid, hiding my truth, but the past weeks had forged me into something else. Someone who fought for himself, for Theo, for Jamie, for every kid who felt invisible. I'd learned that being gay in America wasn't just about love. It was about navigating a world where your identity could be a weapon or a shield. The debates. LGBTQ plus rights, free speech, gender equality, racism, abortion, taxation weren't abstract. They shaped our lives from school boards to community centers. I'd learned to listen, to see how my Latino heritage and Theo's whiteness, Jamie's transness, and Aisha's blackness all intersected in this fight. Most of all, I'd learned that silence was complicity and speaking out, even when it hurt, was power. But Holt's shadow lingered. The next day, the paper reported he'd lawyered up, claiming the exposé was defamation. Nate, facing charges for cyberbullying, had turned on Larson, confirming her role but hinting at Holt's deeper influence. At school, the board suspended Larson pending a vote, and Harris resigned, her apology sincere but too late. Jamie returned to practice, armband proud, and the team rallied around them. My mom, clear to the abortion lies, hugged me tight that night, saying, "I'm proud, me, Joe. You're braver than I ever was." Life didn't magically fix itself. X still buzzed with hate, and Holt's money still loomed. But we'd shifted something. Students wore rainbow pins, teachers spoke up, and the community center got a grant, partly from tax reform advocacy sparked by our fight. I looked at Theo, at Jamie, at Marcus and Aisha, and knew we'd built something unbreakable. As I write this, I'm still Elias Navarro, still 17, still in Denver. But I'm not hiding anymore. My journey taught me that love, identity, and justice are worth fighting for, even when the odds feel impossible. To you, reading this, I ask, if you were in a similar situation, facing a powerful figure like Holt using wealth and lies to silence you, your love, or your truth, how would you approach it to achieve the best possible outcome? Would you speak out, rally allies, or find another way. The choice is yours, but know this: your voice matters.